And welcome to the Sunday Sit Down right here on Next Door Radio. Candidate for Granville County Sheriff, Mr. Robert Fountain. My friend, how are you?
Man, it's been a while.
It has. How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. Gearing up. How are you, sir?
Living the dream. We like to say cross country is about to kick off, and family's doing good, healthy. Little man starts daycare. He just finished the daycare. Going to kindergarten starting next week. So it's been a emotional roller coaster last couple of weeks. But what have you been up to since literally it was a whirlwind for the elections? Now we're about to get into the general. But what you been up to?
Initially we got some rest. Made some new friends. Talked to a lot of new people. Refocused, and we went out with a strategy of what do we do and how do we do. We started looking at the canvassing of our neighborhoods, looking at the maps of where we put things together, where the support came from, where the strongholds were, and how we could do better. Because again, we always think about our public safety and our commitment to the community, how we can do better. Every day has to be better than the last day, and every interaction needs to be more positive than the last interaction I had with someone. And we started to focus on that messaging. There's been a lot of conversation about when I was working somewhere, when I left, and even yesterday, a question that I had answered about 50 different times. Somebody asked, well, Fountain was at Polk Correctional Institution when the DA was kidnapped, father was kidnapped, and again, I have to tell people the same thing. I was not working at that prison then. I was in charge of, probation and parole's gang units then all across the state for all 100 counties. And I was asked to step in to assist the FBI during that process to bring justice, to try to find this man, to find out what had happened. And I took over all 55 prisons after the kidnapping, and I was not employed at that prison when that occurred. So people are trying to spin a little false narrative, and I, again, have to always go over it again and again, because when you don't give people things, they search for things. And when they can't find things on you, they create some false narrative about you, and then other people will believe it, and then you got to go back over the same ground, rehashing the same information. And we've been doing that, but it's kind of washes itself out after we kind of go ahead and put the narrative back in the context of what the truth really is. And we've just been preparing ourselves for this push, this 90 days. I think we got 94 days until the election. We've been pushing, we've been walking. I got one of my guys here with me now, Carlos. I think we did about 100 homes over the weekend that we hit, canvassed, pressing the flesh with people, doing it the old way. Yeah, social media is a great thing, newspapers are a great thing, but having somebody where you can shake their hands and they see you in the communities, in the streets. We were walking some neighborhood and the guy saw that we were sweating and profusely because it was muggy. Then he was like, hey man, he brought us some water. Y'all guys keep doing what you're doing. Making that connection is different. So we continue that process, and we're going to continue to be in these communities. We're going to continue to shape the narrative that justice is like a relay. And now the baton has been passed to us to finish this race, to heal our communities, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what this Sunday Sit Down was all about in the beginning when you and I talked. My guy, Trace Nye, Next Door Radio. When we talked about it, it was how do we reach the people and not take up a lot of their time. So this is where we came back to our beginning, to where we started. You know, we started in a church at Cornerstone Baptist a couple years ago, and I went back to Cornerstone and said thank you, and I did some work with them already. We did after shooter training with Cornerstone, and now we're back to Next Door Radio, and now we're going to put our platform back together, sharpen some things. I was hesitant to give out too much information, because some of the stuff that I've said has been kind of changed and regurgitated by some other people. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did I say that a few months ago? So flattery, the biggest thing of flattery is plagiarism. And that's what I've been told. So if people copy what you do and what you say, it's good for the community because people get on one accord from a messaging standpoint. But come up with things that people create. Your creative efforts should be yours, and you can expound it into somebody else's, but have a different flavor to what you do, not the same thing. Change it, make it yours, then it is yours, because your intellectual property is what you think and how you shape things. So other than that, man, we're just getting ready for a barbecue cook-off coming up this coming Saturday. I got some events I got to be with some other people, and I think we got a all-white event we're putting together as a fundraiser kind of thing. We're getting, we're just shaping our community, just being a part of the community, man, hanging out. Get ready for the Hot Sauce Festival. Get ready for the Creedmoor Music Festival. We're just excited. I'm excited. My energy's coming back. I'm excited. So let's go. Trace Knight, Next Door Radio.
This is the Sunday Sit Down. Happens every single Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on Next Door. Of course, we're going to talk about next 7 weeks, the pillars of criminal justice. So let's kind of dive deep into that here this afternoon.
The first thing we want to do, because people say law enforcement, but then they don't know what law enforcement sometimes it is in its totality means, right? So our first thoughts were we need to break this whole process down, because law enforcement, the criminal justice system, is comprised of multiple interconnected pillars, and these pillars are composed of, but not limited to, academics and academia, law enforcement, forensic services, judiciary, which is the court system, and corrections. So when you want to be the sheriff of a community, you have to be able to articulate those facets of those pillars and be able to show how the sheriff's office and you as a leader of the sheriff's office, how those things are encompassed by what you are trying to portray or put into the community, or how you want to build the sheriff's office to be. So we looked at those pillars. Those will be the initial things we're going to do. Every week I'm going to break down one pillar as it relates to the sheriff's office, do a comparison and contrast to what's there now, not to my opponents, what's there now, what we've done in relations to that pillar, and how we expand it and connect it to the next pillar. So that's just like this table sits here. This table has legs. We have to figure out and make sure those legs are strong so the tabletop stays strong. So those are the ways we're going to try to change this whole narrative of what criminal justice is. So criminal justice for our county right now, it looks like they think about patrolling. They think about solving crimes. But they don't look at the stakeholders involved in people not getting incarcerated. They don't look at the re-entry or the youth is served component of it, right? Or how do you restore a person's voting rights or their citizenships back to the county? So those are the things we're going to do over the next six weeks or so. I'm excited to help train our people and what the actual duties of a sheriff are, and those responsibilities that sheriff has to the community and to be that servant leader. I think that we're okay. And as God got it, I tell my people, God's got it. This was a plan. This is a message that I got one morning when I was just resting. And I said, Trace Knight. And that was it. So here we are, my brother.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. Again, the Sunday Sit Down right here on Next Door Radio. Every single Sunday at 8 p.m. He is candidate for Granville County Sheriff Robert Fountain. So the first pillar.
The first pillar, I'm going to go back and not go too deep into one, but the corrections system, right? We built a $20 million facility in Granville County, right? So that $20 million facility is supposed to house people adjudicated of crimes or pretrial detainees waiting charges from Granville County. I currently it houses 200. I think currently there's about 60 people being held there. I don't like the fact that 60 Granville County residents are in jail. If they committed crimes, yes. But I think we have to look at it from a standpoint of getting ahead of things till they're not adjudicated or not in jail at all. But you have 140 beds that are vacant. Those 140 beds could be filled with people in the federal system to take the burden off the taxpayers and pay that bill off so the taxpayers don't run it. So if you can house 50 to 100 federal inmates at $100 a day or $120 a day, how much revenue are you generating to take that burden off the taxpayer? So we got to look at the fiscal responsibility of a jail system. We just had an individual being paid for 6 months to train the jail administrator how to do his job. Pay him $73,000 of taxpayer money to tell the jail administrator who's been there forever, 20 some years or so, how to do his job, right? So we have to be included in those discussions, and the community needs to know what's going on with their taxpayer dollars when you start talking about paying somebody that much money for 6 months, right? And then that person has baggage or an issue, and then the taxpayer still have to pay the bill when that guy is no longer employed with the current Granville County, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to start looking at things from the totality of transparency, right? If you're not competent and qualified to do a job, then you shouldn't be doing that job, period. So there has to be a shift. We have to understand we don't hire people because they're our friends. We don't hire people because of the color of their skin. We don't hire them because of their gender. We don't hire them because of their party affiliation. You take and hire competent, qualified people that's going to serve this community in its totality. And that's something I think that we have to start understanding. Qualifications matter. Competency matters. Education matters. So with the correctional system, we have to figure out a way, one, how to work with other populations, how to work with, because now there's a big push with transgender incarceration. So where's the policies that our community has in relations to those people, and how do we house them, right? So we have the non-conforming gender of people. How do we address those concerns? So we have individuals in our communities that we have to start thinking about how do we house them if they commit a crime and they come to our facilities. The care, custody, and welfare of inmates and staff is real important to me. 2 jail in custody deaths at our jail is nothing that we need. We don't need to have people dying in our facilities. So where are the Narcan systems? Where do we start looking at how to do drug treatment and drug screening and detox units prior to them being housed in our facilities? So we have to do things differently, right? If you break the law, you break the law. That's simple. How do you administer justice past the charge is where we fail. So we have to start looking at that. Even with and I'm gonna put this out there because we're live.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have competent, qualified people to understand, and I'm gonna say this, and it's probably gonna be y'all take a hit for it. It is what it is. Why do we pay somebody else to serve offenders food when we can do it ourselves? We expand our kitchen process and we get these guys a safe service certifications, and we help them with their culinary arts when they're incarcerated. So if they're in a housing unit at jail for 6 months to a year, you can give them resources and tools. You can train them to have a job when they get out of jail, right? Or a commissary. You contract the commissary out. That means somebody else is making more money in revenue. But if you could you have it done internally, you go to Walmart and get your own supplies and you sell the stuff to the inmates. Those are the things that we look at the fiscal responsibility of how we can generate revenue and take it off the backs of our communities and help the sheriff's office with the inmate welfare fund. So when you got an inmate who's indigent, you can always look at a way to make things better for that community and the person that's housed in the correctional system. So we have a holistic approach to it. We want to make sure that, 1, we look at the fiscal responsibility. 2, we take care of the inmate and the population that we're serving. 3, we have to look at our juveniles not being shipped out of county house somewhere else. Because parents, if they can't do things for their kids here, you ship them across the state, how are you going to deal with that, right? So we have to, then you got a deputy who has to go be with them half a day to take them somewhere and then come back. So we have to change that whole narrative, right? So it has to be done differently. We have to start looking at things from a holistic approach, from the beginning to the entry to the processing and programming to getting back to the streets. There has to be a shift with a correctional system. So I have I think I'm the only person that has ran a facility that's running for sheriff right now that has a correctional background from all of those facets to even arresting people in other states and bringing them back to the state of North Carolina as a fugitive extradition officer. So the correctional component is bigger, and that's why people kind of stay away from that, because they don't look at the totality of the law enforcement component that a sheriff has to supervise. So if you don't know how to cook a hamburger, how are you going to tell somebody to cook one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't run cross country. You're a cross country coach. I can't tell you how to do that, right? I can hire somebody, but will I have an intimate working knowledge of how to do that? I will not. So I would always have to lean on somebody else's experience and understanding versus my own. So in the correctional system, that's what we're going to do. We're going to change the concept. We're going to change the way it's done, the safety and security, drug treatment programs, the chaplaincy service inside the correctional facility for the men and women that are there incarcerated. They need a kind word to them every now and then, not just a daily bread to give them and keep it moving. We have to figure out how to program these guys and get them, the young ladies, how to get them better. And I've worked with you've been served in communities and you've been served individuals, as well as mental health. We have to change that whole component. It has to be wiped clean, and we have to start fresh. We have to start new, because they're our future of our communities. They're coming back. You know, there are 640,000 people return to our communities nationwide a year. We have 2.4 million people incarcerated in the United States. We're the most incarcerated country in the world that puts our people in jail. So how do you understand that if you haven't been in that process and you haven't thought of a plan to address recidivism and incarceration, right? So we've done that. We got our homework on it. I've got a lot of people helping me. I went to a program, You've Been Served program, sponsored by Duke University last Friday, I think. No, 2 Fridays ago. Yeah, 2 Fridays ago, my man Larry Downey and I went and learned a lot. Made some connections that we want to bring to Granville County. So that's the correctional component. Yeah, I'm not gonna get too far out of there, but but it's bred in me. I've done the work. We've done the work. My team has done the work, and we continue to build on that. Every day I learn from somebody. I learn from the least of these to the top of the food chain. So if you have a suggestion, and Carlos and I'm always putting stuff in my head, and I will think about it. And I think he told me something the other day, and I said, "Yep, I already had it." And I was getting out of his car. I think his exact words were, "He told me to do something, so I'm ahead of it. I got you." Because I want people to know I listen, I learn, I move fast. So that's what we are. And I just hang out with Trace Knott.
That's right. That's right. Again, this Sunday Sit Down happens every single Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on Next Door Radio. Of course, the pillars of criminal justice. My friend, again, thank you for coming on here today. Any final words before we kind of log off today?
Thanks everybody for listening, giving me some consideration. I challenge everyone to make me better. Ask me questions that are about the sheriff's office. If you ask me why the sky is blue, you probably won't get an answer, right? Because it's not my lane. It got nothing to do with the sheriff's office. If it has something to do with our community safety and security, I will fully engage anyone, anytime. Any candidate wants to challenge me on what I say, I'm ready for that as well. And we're going to just keep putting pressure on everybody else to do better. We're going to do some things that people may not like, but hey, it is what it is. The truth is the truth. This coming Saturday, we're doing our cook-off, barbecue cook-off and fundraiser. After that, we have a couple more things that I'm going to put out on social media. And I think on the 15th, we're starting some marketing stuff with Next Door Radio. And I asked everyone to work with Next Door Radio, become a sponsor with Next Door Radio. These guys do some good work. Trey is always in the community giving back. Real down-to-earth guy. If you guys have not met Trey Snide, meet him. And everybody I know who speaks highly of him, he's my guy. So I appreciate everybody. What you got?
Give him the location.
Oh, the location for the barbecue cook-off is at the old Oxford Car and Truck across from Boyd's Honda in the parking lot. Mr. Patel, who owns King's Inn, has graciously let us use his parking lot for a small fee. So we will be there. The judging starts at 10. So guys are going to be out there cooking, and women will be out there cooking probably early in the morning, late at night, Friday night into Saturday morning. We starting taste testing. You can get a band for $10 and go to every truck that's part of the, I think it's the People's Choice. So any barbecue person that's out there that's competing, they're gonna let you sample anything, any truck. You get a band, you pay a fee for, and half of that money, or a percentage of that money, is going to the person that wins the People's Choice Award as well. So we can win chicken. I think it's chicken, pork, and beef. Three different categories. Then the People's Choice. So there's trophies for 3, and then a cash prize for the person that wins the People's Choice. And come on out, hang out, listen to some music with Next Door Radio and Trace 9. And then, we'll be out of there probably around 1 o'clock. But we'll start selling food at 10. The judging starts at 10. The guys and cooks can sell all they want. Because this is about them. This is about them showing their goods. But it's also about them generating revenue for themselves as small business owners as well. So we're going to be there to support them. I'll be there Friday night late. And until Saturday. So I would say thank you. God bless everyone. I'll see you next Sunday. Trey, I'll see you sooner than that. And I'll see most of you guys. Listen, we got t-shirts going to be out there. All my stuff will be there. More information. And I'm probably going to post my resume in its entirety soon. So it'll wash away a lot more questions and give people more answers. So again, thanks to Next Door Radio. Thanks to my supporters, my detractors, and people who keep me motivated. Thank you.
Right. Again, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for allowing Next Door Radio to be a part of it. This is the Sunday Sit Down. He is candidate for Granville County Sheriff, Robert Found. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Be blessed.